Chances are you've seen this before, but you may not have any experience with the Kel-Tec KSG Compact Shotgun. This is a really innovative design. Now, we're used to seeing innovative designs from Kel-Tec. They do some really neat things, and they're really good at developing compact firearms that are generally intended for people interested in personal defense or the firearms enthusiast and collector. Obviously, we're much more interested in the former here at Personal Defense Network. Now, the way this shotgun is set up, we've actually got two feed tubes instead of the traditional one that you're going to see on a normal pump-action shotgun. This is a 12-gauge shotgun that's chambered for 3-inch shells, but you can use 2 3/4-inch shells, as I choose to do. And when you do that, you actually have a capacity of 15 rounds. You can get 7 rounds into each tube, plus 1 in the chamber, in a package that's this small and that starts out weighing under 7 pounds. It really is a cool thing. Now, the fact is, this has been out for about a year. A lot of people have shot these and a lot of people have reviewed them, but again, I was a little bit skeptical of the design. I wanted to wait till I could get one in my hands, spend some time with it, and then really give you an informed opinion about whether or not I thought it was a viable option for home defense. And I can tell you that I actually think that it is. Of course, all the important parts are metal. They're high-quality machined parts. We've got glass-reinforced Zytel in all the areas that we look at that we would traditionally say, oh, well, that's just plastic. And we've also got some real rubber back here on the buttstock to absorb some of the recoil from the 12-gauge rounds, because as this gun empties, it actually does become very light for a pump shotgun. It comes with a Picatinny rail that you can mount any optic or flip-up sights or fixed sights on that you would like. I've obviously got an EOTech red dot here. I think red dots are great for home defense options when it comes to any long gun. And this gun is actually about as short as it can be to be considered a legal shotgun without having to be a specially papered NFA item. So this is 26.1 inches overall, and it's just over 18 inches long at the barrel. Of course, 18 inches is the normal legal length. It's got a thumb-operated safety. You can see that the S is pushed through here, and if I push on that, we now go to the red F for fire. One of the unique features, of course, because we've got 2 feed tubes, is this manual lever here, which switches from one tube to the other. We can push that through. Now, at this angle, it's a little awkward because there's nothing bracing the outside of the gun. But if I come back into a shooting position, I can very quickly and efficiently move my thumb back with the gun braced, push all the way to the outside, and get right back onto the controls like I should be as I continue to pump rounds into the chamber and fire. So I like to keep the manual lever staged to the inside. Now, if I were a left-handed shooter, I would stage it on the opposite side. This way I can empty the one tube on the outside of the gun, and quickly come up with my thumb, push out, and now I can go and empty the inner tube. This is going to allow me, again, to fire all 14 rounds that are in the tubes very quickly and very efficiently. Now, many people choose to keep a firearm staged with the chamber empty, and that's how I've got this one set up right now. So I would normally take the safety off, have my firearm staged, with the chamber empty, ready to go. Now, the release for the slide is up here in front of the trigger guard. Now, that's a traditional place for it to be in many shotgun designs. This is an ambidextrous lever that gets pushed down to release the slide action. So I'm going to go ahead and put my eye protection on, face down range, and I've got 2 targets set up, and I'm going to give you some idea of what it's like to empty 14 rounds without having to reload from a 12-gauge shotgun shooting 2 3/4-inch buckshot loads using this red dot as my aiming apparatus. Obviously, that's an awful lot of firepower without having to reload. Now, the idea that you would be in any kind of a home defense situation and actually need to fire 14 or even potentially 15 rounds of 12-gauge ammunition obviously is pretty far-fetched. But having the capability, having the potential to do so is something that a lot of people are going to see reasonable. Let's remember, when we carry something like an AR-15 or we stage any kind of high-capacity rifle inside of our home, we're talking about well over 20 rounds being staged and at the ready. So having 14 or 15 rounds staged and at the ready certainly isn't unrealistic. And most people will carry a concealed carry firearm that even if it doesn't have 14 or 15 rounds actually in the magazine when it's ready to go, that spare magazine will usually take you well in excess of that. Now, while we're only used to seeing maybe 5 or 6 rounds in a traditional pump shotgun or even semi-automatic, and if you're used to a double-barreled shotgun, you may think of this as only a 2-round firearm. The reality is that in the modern age, a defensive shotgun set up in your home that holds 14 or 15 rounds is a possibility. If you went up to 3-inch shells and got that extra power and energy, now you're still going to be capable of having 13 rounds staged and at the ready to defend yourself or your family in the worst case scenario with the Kel-Tec KSG shotgun.